it's like coming out of the closet and being like a murder lover, and it feels so great, but then weird at the same time. Like at the Halloween party, I was like talking to Michelle about something random, and then she started telling me about some Farmville murder at her college, and I was like, fucking tell me more, and it was so exciting. Part 1 of our True Crime and Women series established the fact that women love stories about murder, rape, and serial killers. In Part 2, we find out why. This is psych expert Dr. Daniel Lieberman. When we asked him if he knew why women were so drawn to true crime stories, he brought up the concept of loss aversion.
If I were to say, flip a coin, if it's heads, I'll give you $20. If it's tails, you give me $15. Mathematically, that's a great deal, but most people decline that wager.
In layman's terms, loss aversion theory explains the psychology behind why so many women willingly subject themselves to terrifying stories of real-life murders. Our brains trick us into believing the paranoia and fear of watching these stories is actually worth it because we think we can learn survival skills that can help us avoid ever becoming a victim.
So if you were just to get the facts, every year there are X hundred number of people who are killed by murderers, it wouldn't mean very much to you. But when you're pulled into the story, all of a sudden it's very personal, and not only that, it feels very possible. And that's why you say, well, I've got to watch this. This could happen to me, and by seeing what happens, I can learn how to avoid it, even though rationally you know that's probably not true.
Whenever I hang out with my girlfriends, the conversation inevitably comes back to true crime. But while doing the story, I realized that we'd never actually talked about why we love it so much. When I asked Michelle, Melanie, and Ashley about it, they all referenced a similar feeling of self-preservation that Dr. Lieberman talked about. I feel like you would know. Like if you
no, that's what's scary. Like you keep trying to figure it out.
Scott Peterson right now, do you feel like he would be the friend that knew? Or like after she got murdered, we'd be like, we didn't see it coming. It was so crazy. He was so great.
See, I feel like you always want to think that like, yeah, I would know, but then no, I wouldn't know. I would have no idea. And then after he brutally murdered you, I'd be like, no, I definitely got a creepy vibe from that guy.
Yeah, but then there's those people that were like, that would stick by. Like you bring up Scott Peterson, like they stuck by him until like everything unraveled. And like there are still those people that are so sick that like they can fool a lot of people.
So it happens, you know, like even those of us who are, you know, super fans, and no one is safe.
Oh, great, thanks a lot.
No one is safe.
So why do we enjoy exposing ourselves to these stories when it's not actually increasing our chances of survival?
We feel like if we can see something, if we can monitor it, we have more control over it. Of course, that's nonsense. Watching a TV show doesn't really give us control over things, but the brain gets tricked. And as long as we feel like we have more control, we're going to feel an urge, maybe even for some people, a compulsion to continue viewing this material, even if it's upsetting.
Of course, there are men who love true crime too. The reasons why are a little different though. We talked to the host of Last Podcast on the Left, who, unlike the majority of true crime podcasts, appears to have almost equal male and female audiences.
I think one of the things that surprises about the audience is that it's everybody.
The true crime has been a thing that people have been interested in forever. It was just like a dirty secret for a while, and now it's kind of out there. It's just showing like, nah, like everybody's into this.
Yeah, and it's not like true crime is anything new, or even an interest in crime is anything new. Like, just about 100 years ago, we were still going to public executions, and that was a nice Sunday afternoon. So what we're doing
again.
now...
Soon.
Not so sure about that, but the guys bring up a good point. True crime fandom has been a thing forever. What's different now, though, is that it's more accessible and acceptable for women to talk about it. And when women discuss these cases in depth, it could actually lead to real-world change.
Even though the odds of any one particular woman being murdered by a serial killer is very low, the problem of violence towards women in our society is a real one, and it's an important one. So the degree to which these shows bring people together and get them talking about the problem of violence towards women, it is a good thing. It may actually result in some real societal change.